right, welcome back to Off the Tap. This week is episode 59, and we're doing Fire Ant Brewery's Fire Ant Bock. I don't know if it's Fire Ant Bock or if it's just called Bock from there, but
I mean, it's Fire Ant Brewing, so I guess it could be Fire Ant Brewing Bock. They probably put their own Fire Ant on it because, like, I don't know, seems like it needs it.
Well, everything else that they so I went there 3 weeks ago. I went to the brew. It's in Tomball, Texas. I went there and I had a bunch of beers. I did not have this one. They were all really good. I have nothing bad to say about them. But I didn't have this one, and all of their names were, not all of them included Fire Ant, so that's why I'm including Fire Ant in this one because it says it.
Can we go back first and just celebrate, like everybody, round of applause that we got it on the first go again? Is that 2 weeks in a row?
Well, I did say brewery instead of brewings, so.
Damn it, dude! You could have slid that one under the rug.
Well, you already outed me, bro. You said brewing right after I said brewery, so it was.
We got to mark it and start over. No,
restart.
We're leaving it in. We're leaving it in.
Leaving it in this time. So this comes in at 6.1%. And
that's a little heavier for a Bock, but not crazy.
Not crazy heavy though. And then 23 on the IBU. It was actually 22.9 on their website. I don't know how that happens, but I'm gonna round it up to a 23. I don't know how consistent the percentage is because it's a really small brewery. They don't sell in stores. You have to go there and get cans to take home. So on this week's episode, there is no can overlay on the graphic because I couldn't find one.
Just as a quick visual for those of us that hit their peak of understanding how printers and computers worked in the mid to late 90s. We're all very familiar with that original generic ass label program that your parents had. And that's what we're getting out of this.
Oh, yeah.
Just like super light picture font with Comic Sans and just everything you could think of in a can. I mean, in a label overlay.
Yeah, nothing fancy here with the. They have like different little logos for each beer, but it's nothing crazy. Just more or less the lettering is different and a little bit of a different branding for each one.
Dude, so I'm gonna be upfront and honest right away. So I think it goes without saying that Bocks are probably one of our favorite beers of all time, and there happens to be a single Texas one. There's actually 3 Texas players, but there's one Texas front runner that we were very surprised that the other 2 state, Bocks actually get close to competing with. This one smells phenomenal out of the can. I'm doing kind of like a celebratory solo cup today just because I wanted to mix it up. So you guys can't see the color for this, but it's a beautiful, like rich, caramelly, little darker than caramelly. I get like Eagle brand condensed milk when you've taken it a little too far when you're boiling it, if you've ever done that. And great head. It's got a phenomenal box smell. I do fear it's going to be a little too sweet, but here we go.
Yeah. I'm a little bit worried for mine because I was just saying right before we started here that mine froze. My fridge that I store my beer in has been freezing a lot of my beers. I've noticed this past weekend, really, I noticed. So I'm a little bit worried on this front because I don't want it to mess it up in any way. But let me get in here.
All right, get it. Because there's 2 things I'm going to say right out of the gate. First off, highly impressed. But I, too, since obviously I bummed this out of your backyard can stash.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hate to keep ripping on it because I know that they don't necessarily can beers. But I do get a little bit of like, I think we might not be getting. I know you didn't have it on draft while you were there. But I think to truly evaluate it, I mean, first off, we got to evaluate it that comes in the can, right? That's how we're experiencing it. But
yeah,
to truly evaluate it, I think we would need to go taste it on tap. And here's the reason why. I've had a lot of beers that have been temperature abused. Most of them, of a quality that really temperature's not going to impact. Okay, if you're catching my drift. But this is one of those ones where I can kind of taste because it's watery that maybe it
Mm,
was frozen, and I get a watery, and that might be the way that it is. Obviously, I've never had it before, but I get like a watery, like it seems watered down. Does that make sense?
yeah. No, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
getting it too. And I think it is the freeze that's messing it up. I really truly feel bad for Fire because the three beers that I had there were great.
Yeah.
I have no complaints. And like I said, my fridge just kind of I mean, I had the third we did the Lucky Devil here a few weeks ago, and I had the third one of those this weekend, and it was frozen solid, and it tasted horrible. So
Really?
yeah, it was not good. I took a couple sips, and I was like, this is not what I remember. So it could very well be being affected. But unfortunately, I have to go with what I'm tasting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For this case. But I'd highly recommend going to the brewery still. Really cool place too. It's like Old Town Tomball, you know, so it's like the brick sidewalks and whatnot, and just cool little spot. Cool little spot. Like a little bitty bar basically.
I've never been to Old Town Tomball. Obviously, we live extremely close to Old Town Spring, which I don't is Old Town Tomball like iconic? Like,
No,
is
I
it a
don't even know if
historic?
that's what you would call it. That's just like the vibe I get from it.
I gotcha.
It's like in Tomball, but it's like, you know, not like a bunch of industrial buildings or anything like that, or like modern buildings. It's all like older looking stuff.
Is it what are we talking size wise? Because dude, listen, even for it being like for I can tell it being frozen probably and then thawed out and it being kind of watery. There's a lot of great things that we're gonna have to unwrap as we talk about the beer itself. But
Mm.
how large is of a brewery is Fire Ant, like compared to maybe some of the other ones that are fairly local that we frequent?
It's gonna be hard to describe to viewers that haven't been, but I would
Viewers like
say
you? Please God, just say viewers like you.
viewers like me. What do you mean?
No. You got to say viewers like you.
Viewers like you that haven't been.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're leaving that in too, because those, again, like if you're talking late 90s label maker, you're also familiar with Channel 8, which is incapable of functioning without the support of viewers like you.
Yeah.
Anyways, keep going.
Um, so if you've been to Southern Star, I would say that the interior of Fire Ant is about half that size. But
But it isn't,
they have like a nice outdoor patio and a upper like a balcony patio as well.
but
There might
isn't
be a
Southern,
upstairs, but I don't know.
isn't Southern Star only upstairs?
Yes. But I'm saying the portion that I was in and the inside was about half the size of Southern Star on the inside.
Wow. So
It's
it's pretty small.
It's
Okay.
pretty small. It's a small little bar. There's maybe like, you know, I think there was an upstairs, but obviously I couldn't explore that, so I don't know. Um, but the bottom floor was probably, I don't know, three booths, like a long, like a bar, like a long skinny standing bar, you know, this is
Yeah.
where you stand and set your beers, and then I don't know, maybe three or four more tables. It was like a
Was
small little bar.
Is it I mean, let's talk about it a little bit. Does it do food? Like, I mean,
Oh
is it
yeah.
a brewery for, oh, it does food. Okay.
Oh yeah, they do their own food and it's incredible.
Nice. So are
Very
they,
good.
do you think, because I had this, I don't remember who I had this conversation with the other day, but like, do you think that like the food is the centerpiece, and the beer is kind of like something that helps support the food, or do you think it's the other way around?
I think the beer is definitely the center point. You know, obviously for me, right? Because I'm going there to have the beer. But
Right.
I think the food complements the beer very well. So
Gotcha.
I don't, I mean, you could say it goes both ways, but I think the selections that they have on the menu are, first of all, they're very German.
Okay.
Like the food items they have other things, but most of the things are very German. And they pair really well with the beers that they offer. For instance, I had a schnitzel sandwich.
Gotcha.
Incredible.
Nice.
Yeah. I almost said snickerdoodle. That was not correct. Not
By the way,
correct.
I had a snickerdoodle sandwich and people would have been like, that's odd. But I get it.
That's the
I get it.
brewery. Yeah, they're doing all kinds
Yeah.
of weird stuff.
I mean, screw it. It's like the Monte Cristo of brew foods.
No, it was delicious though. I actually had half of that, and I split it with a buddy, and he got the pimento cheeseburger.
Ooh, I
Yeah,
love a good pimento cheese.
yeah, it was good. And it's supposedly house made pimento, so pretty
Yeah,
good.
so two things. I know we weren't planning to get on this, but like I didn't realize you could buy pimento cheese.
Really?
Yeah, dude, my whole life grandma just made it. And so I was
Huh.
actually having this conversation with Katie like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "What? How are you just buying pimento cheese?" She was like, "In the store?" And I was like, "What?" I didn't even know
Yeah,
you could
man.
do that. But either
Oh
way, I
yeah,
love a good pimento cheese sandwich, and I don't know if I've ever had a pimento cheese burger, but obviously the
it's
place
very
to
good.
find one locally is Fire Ant. The reason
Yeah.
that I asked the question is because sometimes I find with those smaller places, they start out with like one dream in their head. Like, and I'm not saying
Hmm.
Fire Ant's one of these, but they start out with that dream in their head of like, hey, we want to make solid, and dude, a Bock, that's German, right? Like, we want to make a good, solid German offering of beers. And then they start out, and their beers are good, but people start coming because they start enjoying the shit out of the food. And then they kind
Yeah.
of get in this crossroads of like, damn, what are they coming for? And obviously, because you're a small independent company, you're like, we don't really care what you're coming for. Just keep coming. So you put these efforts into food, you put these efforts into beer, and I don't know. It's just funny the way that
I
it works
mean,
out.
to be fair, I mean, breweries can be like a family environment, some of them. When we were there, there was like three or four families with children there. So
Yeah,
obviously they're there for the food, right?
yeah.
The parents are there for the beer, I imagine, the drinks, but obviously the kids are there enjoying the food. So that's a kind of a testament to how good it is. And it's pretty large portions, at least like they bring it out on a tray and a lot of fries, man. I couldn't even
I
finish like half of them.
I actually think the logic should be this: the kids are there for the food, and the parents are there because of the kids. Like they're definitely going there
Yeah.
to get the beers to get liquored up
Yeah,
because
to deal with the
they have
children.
children.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think another point of them, maybe pushing the German agenda with the food and at least with the Bach, everybody does a Bach, but uh, Tomball does that German fest every year, or actually multiple times in the year, I think. So I think it's just like a big deal locally for Tomball in general to do German stuff. So that's probably another good reason.
Um, Yeah, I had never heard of it till you had mentioned it because obviously you had mentioned that you were going. But I never heard of it, and I think the reason is because like it's you're not getting it outside. They don't distribute anywhere, right?
Right. You're not going to know about it unless you hear about it from somebody that's been there,
But they
basically.
can't. So they will can, I guess, what's on tap for like takeaways, and then I'm assuming they have some type of growler system, obviously.
I don't know. They had some pre-canned to sell, and that's what I got. I'd forgot to buy it on my tab, and then I was checking out, and I was like, oh crap, I need to get a can for the podcast. So that's what we come down to now. Every time I go somewhere, I've got to get some beers
Yeah, I
for y'all
felt
to
so.
listen.
I mean, obviously, I know you're kicking me for it, but we hit a number of places while we were in New Orleans over the weekend, and they were phenomenal everywhere that I went, but I didn't bring anything home, and we must have hit like five of them in a
Oh
3 day
man,
stretch.
it is hard to remember though, man. I always forget
Ye-
to take pictures too. So
Yeah, I do have which we need to get posted. I do have a number of pictures from the trip that we should get posted with some beers. It was also pretty cool too because it was like a win in Rome experience. Like
mm,
we went to Abita in Abita Springs, and like they have the full gambit of everything that's available here seasonally and consistently, but they also have like a few that, and this is pretty cool, they have a few that are only in Louisiana for the sake of making sure they're only in Louisiana. Like they do not distribute
mm,
them for that reason.
that's
One's called
cool.
the boot. I know we're not talking about them this week, but like one's called the Boot, and it's legitimately only for the state of Louisiana. They also do a pretty cool, which I don't know if I've seen at Southern Star, but I know I've seen it at some other local breweries. But they have a mix and match situation too. So they'll take like Purple Haze and Andy Gator and make a Purple Gator or a Hazy Gator. And so like they have a bunch of different variations for different things. I thought was very interesting. But obviously we'll get the pictures posted so you guys can check that out. But I came home empty-handed after stumbling through in and out of probably 5 different places.
Again. Came home
Again.
empty-handed again.
Again, where else were we last time? We did it before and came home
In New
empty-handed.
Orleans, yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
forgot to bring some back. It just gets hard to remember. You get lost in the moment, and then it happens. Happens to
yeah.
the worst of us.
But a few things that I would say is, yet again, I mean, I know that we're not wrapping up, obviously, but across the board, this is doing, even with probably it being mishandled and us not probably getting the most accurate first taste out of a canned version that's been frozen. Like,
Yeah.
it's mind blowing to me that like I get Bach, I get enough sweetness, I get enough like it's checking all of the boxes. And there's one box, and I know this is gonna blow your mind. There's actually 2 boxes that it checks, maybe more than my favorite Bach, which is
Ooh.
crazy. Yeah. Now listen,
Okay.
listen. Again, I'm not saying that it's gonna rank higher than, but there's 2 boxes that it checks more. So Fire Ant's doing something right. It's a pity that it's not more widely available, but who knows? Maybe they're just scratching the surface. They're getting their feet underneath them. I don't know how long it's been there either.
Yeah. I actually don't know how long it's been there. I could probably look that up. I don't think it's been there for a very long time. Yeah, 2018.
Oh
So
yeah, so it's in its
so
infancy at
yeah,
this point. It's
very new.
surprising.
Very new. So yeah, pretty impressive though. Pretty
Do
impressive
we
stuff.
want a couple more questions before we move on? But is there like this isn't seasonal, right? Just because we're getting into
No, their
summertime.
their Bach is year round. I'm pretty sure. They do see their seasonals were on there. They had Oktoberfest, obviously, and another pumpkin beer. I don't know if they had like a Christmas or a winter one. I didn't really pay attention to that. No sours or anything like that. Pretty much like they had a
What's
high.
their flagship? Is it a Hefeweizen or what's their
Uh,
flagship?
I don't know what their most popular one was. I know that I had one that was really good, and it was their Dunkel.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I had their Hefeweizen, that was good. I had their blonde, that was good. I believe I tried their Kolsch from somebody else as well. And then yeah, the Destination Dunkel was the Dunkel. That one's pretty good too. I don't know what their
Here,
first one was though. No,
let's back up to their Kolsch from somebody else. Was it like a visiting brew or was it a collab or
their Kolsch.
yeah?
Oh no, someone else that was with me ordered it,
Oh,
and I
okay,
tried
okay.
it. I tried some of theirs.
I was gonna say because something that, and I don't know if this is happening here locally, but something, not to keep harping back to the Louisiana trip, but something that was in every single brewery that we went to was like the camaraderie of visiting brews.
Oh yeah.
So they would have like somebody else that was fairly local have one keg and one tap dedicated to them
Oh,
inside their brewery.
that's cool.
So yeah, so you would, and it was on rotation. It was random at
Yeah.
random, but it was like the visiting brewery at the time or whatever. And so you would go into Spigots, and they would have one that was a rotator, or we went into like obviously when we were at a beta, they had a rotation that was somebody else as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's
Yeah.
like the epitome of, we always talk about independent, right? And it's very prominent and very important to have that little upside down bottle on your label, right? Truly
Hmm.
be independent. I think that's the epitome of it, of being independent, right? Is supporting all those that are around you that technically you're competing with, because either A, you're bold enough to do it, but second, it's good. It supports the cause, right?
Yeah. Or you're trying to say our beer is better than this.
Yeah, like, listen, I'm
Yeah,
not saying, but well, the other thing is you kind of have the upper hand too. You're like, yeah, they've got this one in here, but like we've got a range of
20.
things that'll
Yeah.
probably beat its ass. You be the judge.
Yeah, exactly. So they have it looks like 16 uh beers year or 15 beers that are year round and 3
Good Lord.
seasonals. Yeah. They have their Oktoberfest, which is called Ant Oberfest. Oberfest. Their pumpkin, Phantom Pumpkin, and then Stark beer. I don't know I don't know if that's their winter beer. I don't know.
Was that
Um,
not a superhero in something? Was
I don't
that?
know. The logo on it is like a super strong dude
Yeah,
lifting weights or something.
but like clip art still,
Hmm.
kind of. Okay.
So it's really funny because I was gonna mention this before we move on. All of their all of their designs for each beer are pretty much like the one on this can, like pretty generic, um, kind of just drawn, thrown together. Some of them are a little better than others, but then for their Antoberfest, it's like a it's like an anime German chick with green hair and just massive chest. Just I
They
don't
just
know what was going on there, but you
do
know
they
they really just went for it on that one.
they just sent it. They were like, dude, we're catching a lot of beef about having shitty graphics and like
Yeah,
we just want something a little bit different. And so they hired or contracted the services of not an intern. I use that a lot, but this was like some local comic book artist, and he was like, this
that's
is my chance. I'm getting back in the
genuinely, it
game.
looks like a German anime character. That's what it looks
I,
like.
I haven't seen the picture, and obviously it doesn't relate to this beer, but I almost feel like we should throw that somewhere so that people can check it out because I haven't seen the picture. Is it on the website, maybe?
Yeah, it's on their website.
Okay. So I should check that out, but I get that gist. There's just a struggling comic book artist that's like, this is my redemption. And then it came out and it was great, but it was so aggressive that they were
Yeah.
like, ah,
Well, this is what we got now, so we're going with it, you know?
send it, send it.
Yeah. All right. Well, obviously the name of the brewery is Fire Ant, so we have to talk about ants in some capacity, right? I mean,
Yes.
Jesus. They're just
Uh,
they're wild insects, man.
there's so many variations too. There's the fire ant, which is, we're talking about. I think that's the most prevalent around us.
Is the fire
There
ant the most prevalent, or is just like the generic ant the most
Uh,
prevalent?
I, I think you're referring to the pissant. I think that's what you're talking
It
to.
does, does it
Um,
piss because everybody pees on their mound,
I
ant
have
mound?
I have no idea why it's called a pissant, and I'm going to be honest with you. It's not called a pissant. It's called pissant.
Mm.
That's what
Oh,
it is.
okay.
Uh, but yeah. So those are the most two common that I was aware of as a child. Either you stepped in fire ants or watch out for the piss ants because there's a chance they're going to get all up in. I think they're sugar ants by definition,
Sugar
unless
ants.
you're south of like a certain like maybe the Mason Dixon or something, and then they're piss ants. Um,
Yeah.
but super powerful across the spectrum. I don't know if you put a fire ant up next to a piss ant, which one would be more would be stronger, like
Yeah.
as far as carrying their own weight. But they're just phenomenal insects. I don't think they get enough credit. Also, dude, can you imagine living that lifestyle? Like they're not transient per se, but dude, they're just working their ass off every single day, and like the elements are not stacked in their favor.
No, never, they never are. I saw you know, they always go in as a colony, like collect stuff, and you see like sometimes you'll see like 20 to 30 of them just like carrying back an acorn shell, you know what I mean? Like just rolling back. I saw a freaking video on Twitter or something a couple weeks ago, and it was just this singular ant. Now it was a large ant. I don't know what kind, maybe a fire ant. I don't know, but it was a large ant, and it was just by itself carrying like a piece of a freaking strawberry, just freaking. And the guy captioned it and said, Bro, you know they about to throw a party when this guy gets back because he's been putting in that work, son.
Uh,
Bro, straight up. My man was supplying the whole colony with that one.
Dude, it's also they have like a very structured hierarchy of like you're born a worker ant or like like where you're
Mm.
born, I believe determines your or maybe it's your age, I think. I saw this clip one time and it was actually heartbreaking a little bit, but like they determine your work based on your age. So like when you first come out, you basically are the ones that like go out and defend, right? Like you're
Yeah.
the builders, the defenders, you're keeping everybody safe. You kind of patrol inside, and then obviously you get to an age where like all your worth kind of is like just going and collecting, like you follow directions and you're stronger now, you go and you collect the food. And then as you get as you get older, they move you to like basically being inside the mound, but like you take care of like waste and you
Mm.
take care of like trash and like you take care of other dead ants. And the reasoning is because eventually you will haul someone to where like they dispose of them because you're most likely to die there as well. And
Oh
like you're already
God.
old. I mean, it's terrible to say, but like it all
It's
does make a
efficient.
lot of sense.
It's
You know what
very
I mean? Yeah,
efficient. Yeah.
they're very efficient. They also, most of them also have like a designated area for their waste and for their deceased, so that it doesn't intermingle with like the rest of the interactions of the colony, and it
Mm.
doesn't contaminate their food source and things like that. It's pretty interesting, dude.
The ants are told what to do by a queen, right?
I mean, I think it's by signals, but yeah,
Well,
ultimately,
I mean,
it's
like
all
they have like a ruler that's a queen, right?
yes.
Like,
So,
isn't that how bees work too?
yes, so they have like all, I mean, this is
Okay.
according to Google, but I want to make sure that we're speaking correctly. So, nearly all ant colonies have a group of fertile males called drones, and there's like one or a couple fertile females that are the queens, right?
Okay.
So, it's not so much that you are driven by the queen, but like obviously your entire existence and the future existence of
Because of them.
your is because of them. So like you have to protect them, make sure that they're fed, make sure that there's enough
Mm.
like it's all for them essentially. So they're not guiding you to do that, but like pretty much if you another crazy thing too is like if you have rogue ants, like I'm not saying that they're like humans where they're just like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, this sucks, but like there are occasions where they go rogue, like they will police them and like kill them off and segregate
God.
them for the sake of protecting the queen.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty
Like
trippy.
going rogue and giving intel to like the other colonies or something? I'm just confused here.
That or I mean they'll start attacking like those that are weaker than them. Or they'll start isolating themselves from the group in which their current hierarchy is. Like it's pretty trippy. And obviously, I don't think an ant has a brain. I'm sure there's like a million entomologists that are going to hear this and call us crazy for it. But yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it's trippy. Ants freak me out. They're not only ridiculously strong, but like they have a pretty rigid system for like not having brains, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Not having
Right?
thoughts of their own per
Yeah,
se.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
do they
Well,
though?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see a ant style movie that's almost like the Bee movie. Barry Jerry Seinfeld is the main
Yeah, yeah.
guy in the Bee movie, but I forget Barry Benson or something like that. I don't remember his name.
I don't
The
know.
Bee's name.
Dude, so ants societies have division of labor, as I just mentioned, communication between individuals, and an ability to solve multi-problematic complex problems.
Man, okay. No, that's awesome and all, but how they're the engineers of nature.
Yeah.
Well, them and beavers, but we've already talked about beavers, so uh but dude, what what are we doing with ant farms, bro? What what's the point of
Are
an
you
ant
thinking
farm?
Like, you think it's inhumane? Like, cause I don't give a shit. I mean, I don't want
No,
anybody like killing them. I don't
like
give a shit about an ant.
not like inhumane, but like, what's the point, bro?
Bro, so that you can see them do the. Listen, I was not a bit. I used to think the same thing. Like, I had buddies. First off, I think that was like a. It was the '90s, but
Yeah,
like
it
maybe
was
the
the
'80s.
90s.
But I think I think at first like it was a trend, like the pet rock was in the '60s or '70s or whatever. Like it was just stupid. But then like I've wanted to try to get one as of late just to see them do that. Like you watch them carry this out in captivity, kind of underground.
Not kind
Because,
of, definitely in captivity.
yeah, I mean, I guess you do, but like, I just don't like. Do they? I think that ants are smart enough to where they're like, oh, we're in captivity. Like, there's an endless food source. Like, fuck it, we don't have to do all this shit. We're just gonna stay here and wait for our food. They're not gonna do the same exact things they would do if they were building their own mound, right? I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know
that's
how smart
fine and
ants are.
all. Like, yeah, I'm gonna watch them do this, but like, also, why am I gonna watch them do this?
Well, bro, I mean, you could say the same thing about a fish.
Yeah, you could.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Except at least fish are like peaceful, you know? Like you watch them and you feel a little bit at peace.
bro, I'm sure you could do this. Listen, I'm not one that's soft or that can connect these dots spiritually and emotionally all that often, but like, dude, I could find the same pleasure in a group of ants that were trapped in a plastic jar as I could a fish,
In a
in my
glass jar.
personal opinion. Yeah, whatever.
I,
I'm just saying.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess the fish takes a lot more is a lot more needy.
Yeah, dude. Also, I know this is terrible,
Ants you just kind of set it and forget it. You know what I mean?
bro. I mean, you gotta put.
90s.
It's the '90s. You gotta put leaves and shit in there, but like, I mean, I guess that's what they eat. I know this is gonna sound terrible too, but like, when it comes to the point where like you need to clean it or they've exhausted the space, you just throw it all away. Like, you don't have to like,
Or just let them outside.
yeah, like a fish, dude. I like after like 2 or 3 weeks, I feel guilty and like regardless of what the rules say, and we have to clean her like because we have a fish we have to like clean her thing and make sure it's super clean and like I kind of feel bad for her sometimes, but like ants, if I just got tired of doing it, I would just throw them away. Nobody cares about ants. Like,
Jesus,
also,
dude.
well, I mean, okay, listen, I don't want to be so negative, but like, dude, okay, I get it. Bees, very important. I'm sure that ants are important, okay, but bees
Yeah, but there's
are
also
very
like
important.
70 billion ants on the planet or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when's the last time you saw like a huge commercial ad that was like, "Stop killing the ants"? Not fucking never.
Everybody's
Like,
like, kill them all.
yeah, dude, here, spray this shit on your yard. In fact, we're gonna start fogging it recreationally,
Yeah.
just for funsies. Like
Yeah.
that. Like again, bees important. Okay, like I'm sure somewhere mosquitoes. Like we don't have to worry about them, but like they serve a purpose for some reason. I know that ants do too, but I'm not. They're not struggling. They're just not struggling.
No, they're not. I don't know. I always saw, I never knew anyone that had an ant farm. I never had an ant farm. And I always saw them in movies. And I was just like, what do you, like, bro, you got a dog downstairs. You know?
Yeah.
Go play with your dog, bro.
Yeah, I think it was just a thing, man. I don't know. It was like a
Uh,
phase, but I don't even know if you could get them now.
it's
I
like
bet
Honey,
you
I Shrunk the Kids era.
there will be a resurgence, just like the Chia Pet, right? Because the Chia Pet came out hot and heavy, and then it kind of fell away for years and years, and then it came
And
back hot and
then,
heavy
and then
again.
they made the Bob Ross one and it was over after that.
Yeah. So the ant farm will come back.
You think?
I'm calling for a comeback. Yeah.
They're going to make them better, though?
Also, dude, do you have to like collect? There's a lot of questions. We don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but like just think about this homework. Do you collect your own ants or do you buy them in a kit? Because I'm not paying money for ants. What the fuck? That's
I
that's where I
think
draw the line.
I think you do, man. I think you have to buy. They have to be bred in captivity, bro.
Also, what?
I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding, man. You
What
could
are they?
probably
They're
go and
like,
get your own. Think about how messed up that would be for the colony, bro. You
dude,
just
freaking
trap
ant.
like half of their worker ants, and they come back and they're like, "Where's Johnny, dude? He's our best guy."
Dude, if it got real popular, people would be uppity as fuck. Like, oh, these ants? No, no,
No,
they
no.
come
I
from a
got those.
long pedigree of good
I've
breeding.
got the Himalayan green ant, bro. You never seen these before.
Full bred. Nope. They've got a special organic diet, and that's just how they've been forever. We hand pick who's going to be the next queen every single time.
Every week we got to roll in a new one.
Capitalism has a way, but that's
They
what it would turn
only
into immediately if it went. Dude, we could start selling kits. Like, God dang it, we keep giving our good ideas away.
yeah.
We can start selling like high class,
We got to get in
top
on it with
notch,
Fire Ant Brewery.
purebred Fire Ant Brewing Company. You screwed it up again. Fire Ant Brewing Company of ant farms. Buy a 6-pack, get a free ant farm. That'll go over well with the kids, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they put together a Happy Meal and that's the giveaway.
It's just a little small one.
Yeah, just a tiny one so that you could crush it in the back of the car. And then along with the crumbs that fell out of the to-go box,
The
you end up having
sand
a
and
problem
ants.
in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Bunch of sand and ants. That's another thing too. People would get real uppity about the sand that they use. They're getting it like shipped in from
Oh yeah.
South America somewhere because
You're like, no, no, no.
it's a wetter sand. It's better for their health and stuff like that.
See, these ants are from a specific 100-mile territory in Eastern Africa. And so we bring in the sand from that same 100 square mile area of South Africa, East
Yeah.
Africa, excuse me. But we blend it with a surface dirt out of Tanzania because that's the better version of ant.
Yeah.
That's what we have found produces the best ant. Dude, I know that it's not in a clear cup, but just look at that.
Yeah. It's not. It looks
Dude,
like a cup of coffee, bro.
it looks like a flat Coca-Cola from a keg.
Hell
Mm.
yeah. Looks damn good, bro.
Yeah, dude, I straight up I don't know what I was thinking, but I straight up drank some ice cold water out of a Solo like 10 minutes before I sat down. I don't know what. I was just like, I'm about to pour. We had company over this weekend, so we had a bunch of like throwaway cups or whatever. And I just slammed that ice cold milk out of that Solo cup, and I was like,
Oh,
man, today's episode. You don't like ice milk out of?
first of all, did you put ice in the milk?
No, no, no. It was just ice cold.
Oh, no,
Like
I don't
ice
like
cold.
regular milk though in general, so yeah.
Well, I tried to pretend as if I froze there because I don't have a comeback to that. We're gonna move on because you don't want to clip out the next 10 minutes of what I've got to say.
No, I don't.
So,
Um,
anyways,
yeah.
whoa,
Anyways, I did
speaking of
mention,
ants,
yeah. Well, I did mention I wish that there was like an animated, like B movie style. There is an animated movie about ants. Well, there's a couple
there is.
actually.
There's
There's
two that
the
I can remember.
OG. The OG is A Bug's Life, right? But that, I mean, it's about ants, but not. It's not like about their lives. You know what I mean? It's like about them trying to defend themselves
Yeah, I can't remember.
from.
The ants were the ants the good guys or the assholes in that one?
No, the
The
wasps were the
crickets.
bad guy. Or yeah, the crickets. That's what it was.
Was it the wasps or the crickets?
I think it was the crickets. They were like the flying crickets.
Uh, we're gonna have to look. We should have looked this up.
I watched it like a year and a half ago. I don't know why I don't remember this, but it's a good one though.
Yeah,
It's a good classic.
it
Uh,
is, and I always thought it was so hilarious that like the way that they're able to align like what like because they go to that freak show. I don't want to call it a freak show, but they go to that freak show and they find like the weird bugs, and they think they're actually superheroes that are gonna come and protect them. And I'm
yeah,
like, this could definitely happen in human life. The way that they kind of correlate how it could happen with humans versus how it happens with the bugs.
yeah. In
But yeah,
fact, it probably has happened.
I would say so that was the OG, but the point that I was trying to a bug's life. The point that I was trying to make is all right, so a bug's life was in dude, check this out. So I want to say this is what started the war. Okay? Because a bug's life, which we all know, is like we kind of talked about the story a little bit. It involves ants, and it does talk about their colonization. There was like a princess and a queen, and then he was the rogue ant. He was the one that kept trying. This is almost perfect. This almost ties back into what I was talking about. He was the rogue ant that was like, I don't want to collect shit. I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. I want to do adventure
I want
stuff.
to I want to build contraptions and stuff like that.
Exactly. So they were like, imprison him all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so A Bug's Life, 1998, and it was animated by Pixar.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But then the same exact year, a movie called Ants came out, ANTZ, in 1998, but it was animated by DreamWorks.
So it was the same year.
Same
This is
exact
this
year.
is like this is like some Windows and Apple shit, or
That,
Microsoft and Apple shit right now.
essentially it is, and I think it started the subdivide of not only people, but it started the subdivide, or it started like, okay, think about like the space race. Think about all the technology, which, by the way, we don't want to get pissy about the space race, but like if anything came out of it, it was only the technology. We don't need to go to the moon, in my opinion. But anyways,
Yeah.
it gave us all this technology, and it's because there was this constant competitive nature of who's going to get there first, what can we pull off, and obviously it was fruitful for most
Hmm.
everyone.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to those that did make it along the way in the face of trying to do something better. I don't think that's happening in computer animation. Hopefully not. I don't know how competitive and how rough that world
Hey
is,
man,
but
you don't know, bro. They probably got the mob involved somehow.
this is exactly where in my opinion, where the split was. Because, dude, you had Pixar wrecking house. Like they invented, in most people's minds, Pixar and the Disney whole thing invented computer animated,
Oh
what
yeah.
we assumed at this point,
Yeah.
right? From their shorts to, like I said, Toy Story and all these other different. But this is where the split happened, and then they both start like really putting the pressure on one another to make the bigger, the badder, and not just in like your ability to animate and like the things that you make it, but the storylines as well, dude. They got
Yeah.
so epic in having 5 levels of comedy, entertaining the children, entertaining the preteen, inappropriate uh not imagery, but like slightly innuendoous that kept the adults tied in, and like sub storylines, one liners, non sequiturs, all these different things that came along with it. But this is where the split, in my opinion, happened. A Bug's Life was way better, and I don't mean just because of the animation. I don't even remember the animation of ants, but I just don't remember the storyline being all that great. Even though apparently it had a smashing cast, including Woody Allen, Sharon Stone, Jennifer Lopez, Sylvester Stallone, Christopher Walken, Dan Aykroyd, Anne Bancroft, and Danny Glover, and Gene Hackman.
Wow. I don't even think I've ever seen ants.
Bro, I haven't seen it in a long time either. Um, this is crazy though. So it actually started as a Walt Disney feature animation in 1988, but it was abandoned. It was called Army Ants.
Mm,
Anyways, you guys can read about it, but like ultimately, this is when the split happened, and then obviously, DreamWorks went the route of like Shrek and
Puss in
what are
Boots. Well,
Puss
Shrek
in
is
Boots.
that's the Shrek verse,
Yeah,
if you will.
they did Ants, Puss in Boots, Kung Fu Panda. Uh, I mean, dude, they had a bunch of killer ones. The Prince of Egypt, Madagascar, How to Train Your
Yeah, dude.
Dragon, like just epic, right? But again,
Box office hits.
but Pixar wasn't hurt neither. Okay,
Oh no.
and they kept getting better and better and better until now. I would say there's a new one to the game, because is
Mm,
Illumination separate from both?
I think so.
I don't know who they're partnering with, but dude, I mean, I think of the Grinch, obviously the whole Minion thing,
Despicable Me.
Despicable Me, like
Yeah.
there's a new player in the game.
Now the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh yeah, they did that one too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They did Illumination did that as well. Who did which one of them did Rango? Not that that's a super incredible movie,
Um,
but I'm curious
is
because
that the one about the lizard or something like that?
yeah, Johnny Depp voices the lizard.
We're gonna look it up in a minute, but yeah. So Illumination is owned by Universal Pictures, but it just recently sold to Universal Pictures.
Mm, okay.
So again, that a whole different partnership. Dude, this is crazy. I never even, I guess, thought about this. Rango,
Yeah.
2011 film, computer animated.
Yeah, I mean it's a good one too, man. I feel like it was Pixar, but it could have been somebody else. I don't remember.
Um,
I do know that didn't Pixar do Finding Nemo?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that might have been DreamWorks. I don't know.
I don't think so. Because it's on Disney Plus. Pretty sure it's Pixar. And I mean The Incredibles, dude. Pixar did The
Bro,
Incredibles.
yeah, real quick though, this is gonna blow your mind. Rango was produced by Nickelodeon Movies.
Ah, Nickelodeon, that's who it was.
Uh, making the holy crowd, this is crazy. So, but it was distributed by Paramount. Rango premiered. It was released in the United States on March 4th, 2011. It was a major critical and commercial success, grossing 247 million against a budget of 135 million. It won the Best Animated Feature, making it the first non-Disney, Pixar, or DreamWorks to win.
Wow.
It's
Until
crazy.
Despicable Me, probably.
Yeah, until later on.
But yeah, that's wild. Paramount is a parent company for Nickelodeon, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it, but I mean, it's just crazy that like that was another new player. I don't think that Nickelodeon's putting out nearly the
No.
quality that like DreamWorks, Pixar,
TV
and
shows,
Illumination.
yes, but
Are they
now though,
still
I
in the
don't know.
game?
I don't know if they're still like now they went like the whole like super three-dimensional route with their cartoons like SpongeBob and the Fairly Odd Parents and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, why? They were so good before. Why did you change the art style? Not a big fan.
I don't. Yeah, so Pixar did Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., Toy
Oh
Story.
yeah.
Um, what else? The Cars, dude.
Yeah.
They have
Like
so many massive franchises. The
I
Incredibles.
I think that my favorite animated like universe is Shrek personally. I just I love Mike Myers and it's incredible. Actually, you know what's weird to me that I learned past couple years or whatever, like a couple years ago, is that Chris Farley was supposed to be Shrek.
Yeah, did we talk about this in an episode?
I think
Or did
you
we
and me
talk about
have
this outside?
discussed it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he had actually recorded like half of the movie or something before he died,
And then they
and
had to.
then they had to fill the role. So Mike Myers stepped in and he recorded it, the entire thing, all the voice, and then hated the way it sounded. So he went back and re-recorded the entire thing with the Scottish accent.
So essentially, what is the Shrek franchise? The first one could have crashed and burned
Flopped. Then we never
had it
get
not
Puss
been
in Boots. Never get any of
had it
that.
not been recorded 3 times, essentially.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
essentially.
what's another hitter that I always forget about. Excuse me, Ratatouille.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
That's
that's
Pixar
solid.
too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Disney
Yeah.
Pixar, but I always forget about that one. There's so many good off. Dude, Brave. We didn't really
Mm.
watch that one, but the kids loved it.
No, Brave's pretty
Um,
good.
yeah.
I mean, they of course, and that's not even mentioning like that's just Pixar. Like if you want to even throw in all the OG Disneys, right? Like Fox and the Hound, you know, Little Mermaid, Jungle Book, like all the OG, all those are just
Dude,
great.
Fox. Oh, I don't know if we've
The
talked about this before.
Aristocats, bro. The Aristocats.
Dude, The Great Mouse Detective. Son,
Yes. The
there are
Great Mouse Detective.
there are so many that were just absolutely slamming.
That The Great Mouse Detective was not a children's movie. That movie is terrifying. It's even
Terrifying.
scary as an adult. Like,
There's some risque part. There's a lot of risque
yeah,
parts.
a lot.
I guarantee if they ran it back to, which I don't know. I don't know if things got worse or things got lighter, but if they were to re-rate that now, they would be like, "Hmm, I don't know.
This one is
G
not.
seems a little light."
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of things going on in that one that
Also,
would have to change.
I don't want to go on a tangent here, but I'd like to know what the difference between guidance and parental guidance is. Like, what are you getting? Guidance from another child? Is that what you need in the
Is that
G?
what G is? I never even thought about it, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I believe
And
G,
then
P.
and then you got PG-13, parental guidance 13.
Yeah, 13 and up. That's it.
Mm,
Rated R being restrictive. I think there was NC 17, and then there was like not rate. That was a big. That was a. Do you want to talk about late
not
90s,
rated
early 2000s? Yeah, not rated was the
or
thing. Like,
unrated.
yeah, it became a whole new genre. It became a whole new rating essentially. It was like we're putting stuff in here so bad that we legally can't rate this, so
Yeah.
watch at your own risk, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they would just be like the opening credits would come and you're like, is that a window? And then just like balls would hit it and stick to it and you're like, dang it, this is supposed to be an animated film.
What the hell? I thought this was supposed to be Cat in the Hat. What is this?
It is, except this cat wears his hat down around his ankles,
Oh,
that kind of thing.
yeah, stuff like that. Stuff like that. Yeah, but so I think like universe wise, Shrek is my favorite, but I think overall Pixar has put out the most, like most of my favorite animated stuff, right?
I
Because I mean,
agree, but
we just listed all of them. I mean, Finding Nemo, freaking Incredibles, like all that stuff.
I would say they're equally competitive at this point. Like they're, it's not like I'm like, oh,
I
I'm
don't know
only
about
gonna.
now.
Well, I don't know if Pixar's even around anymore. I know DreamWorks is still
Well,
rock and rolling.
they are, but they're underneath Disney. I just don't know if they put out a bunch of stuff anymore. But I don't really think DreamWorks puts out a lot anymore either. I'm pretty sure
Dude, because
that like
they're
most
getting
of it's
crushed by
Illumination.
Illumination.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're getting crushed by Illumination.
yeah. It's kind of sad, man. The end of a well, I wouldn't say the end of an era, but
I
yeah,
wouldn't say the end of an era either. And like, if you look back at it, there's so many things that they were necessary in their time. We went way the fuck deep end on this, but they like they were necessary for their time. And I'm gonna say this, like without Disney, I'm not quite sure there would be Pixar. And without Pixar, I don't know if there would have been people at DreamWorks that pushed the way that they did. And without DreamWorks, I don't know if we'd have Illumination. Like along the way, they all had they trailblazed a particular area and set the new bar and the precedents or whatever. And so
yeah,
for people to continue to drive it being creative. So Illumination, you know, there's a target on your back, bud. Somebody's around the corner.
yeah. Regardless of how you feel about Walt Disney, the man changed animation forever.
Bruh. And forevermore. And some of the just the guys working for him, some of the writing is great. I know a lot of the times they were robbing from like fairy tale.
Mm.
I don't want to say robbing, but they were repurposing fairy tales and other
Hey,
things like
man,
that,
it's
which is cool.
just Robin Hood, just on a story level.
That's right. But the writing has gotten outrageous for some of these movies too now. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have gotten to that point in the podcast where we have to get into the WWYBD here.
Yeah, you going first? You going? Am I going first?
Yeah, I can go first. I know that I have used this a couple times, I think, but I don't know what it is for me and box or like darker beers. But for me, man, this is like a campfire beer. Uh,
Okay.
it's it's I would say more like a backyard fire than a campfire necessarily, but like just hanging around. I'd say like with the family. And you just crack one of these open around the fire, hanging out. It's like mid to low 50s, so it's not like super cold, but you just want to have a fire going, you know? That's what that's what I got.
Dude, it's so creepy because I was just gonna say, I think in Texas, I'm sure Californians, and this might be something that we all have in common, but I think Californians do the same exact thing. You get so tired of your season that you just do what you want seasonally anyways, right? Like
Yeah.
think about like as soon as like April hits, we're like, we should probably start eating crawfish, huh? And we're like, yeah, but it's like super early, and we're like, fuck it, we're going to get crawfish. Or like, so this for me is the same exact thing, but coming out of the summer. This is September. I know we talked about chili maybe last week. Like, as soon as you get that cold spell, you do a chili. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a little bit cooler of a weekend. You're like, what is it, 68 outside? Yeah, I'm making some chili. This
Mm-hmm.
is my late September going into early November. You have the first artificial cold spell where it's not 98 degrees anymore. You drop to like 75, and you're like, screw it, I'm lighting the fire and calling the boys. This is that beer, that premature, late summer, early fall, um, forcing yourself to do a campfire beer. It's not cold enough for a campfire, and nobody's like loving it, but you're like,
Everybody's
hey,
sitting very far back from it.
yeah,
Yeah.
like this is a great fire, but I'm gonna stand over here away from it,
Yeah.
and
You're doing it more or less for the smell than for the
100%. This
the warmth.
this is this is the beer that you're drinking when you're doing that. So
Yeah.
mine's very similar, and I had late summer fire, so
Yeah.
we agreed on that one.
Pretty similar. Yeah, I mean it. I was gonna say earlier, and I never got to, but this is like a. I mean, we've said multiple times, Bocks are probably both of our favorite styles of beer, but I can typically drink them year round, no matter what day, time, season, whatever. It doesn't matter. I can drink them. There's some Bocks that I can't. This one for me is a year rounder because it has that little bit of a warmth taste, or like it gives me that warmth feeling that I would want in the winter, but it's also smooth and refreshing for the summer and spring. So it's a year rounder for me. Pretty good. Yeah, are we gonna get into
Rating?
the ratings now?
You going first?
Yeah, I can go first.
Yeah.
So
We should go back and run the stats on that, like how often you go first versus me going first.
I don't know. I think I go first a lot, but you want to go
Pretty much. Go
first?
ahead. No, no, no. You kill it. You kill it. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So, again, mine was frozen before we started, but as I drank more of it, it got a lot smoother. So I think it started to level out for me. So my entry, I have a 4, but I want to bump it up to a 5. I'm just not going to right now. I want to taste it on draft before I do that, but I'm right on the verge there between a 4 and a 5. Aftertaste, I feel the same way. 4, but I almost kind of want to bump it to a 5. Um, Body, I got a 5. I think it tastes incredible, great flavor, pretty spot on with the craftiness, with a crafty Bock. Color, she's perfect. 6. She looked great. I loved every. I wish we could have had a non-red solo, but that's cool. It's it is what
Dude,
it is. It is what it
I was
is.
feeling it. I was feeling it. Next, I struck out. We
It
all
was.
make mistakes.
We all make mistakes. Some bigger than others, but that's okay. Bitterness. I had bitterness at a 4, but I bumped it up to a 5. I think it's pretty much right on par for me. Almost perfect. Acidity. I have acidity as a 5 as well. I think it's right on cue. It's right up there with some of my favorites. And fizz, I have it a 4. Um, I didn't get a lot of burps, but I almost actually want to put it at a 5 because it's typically where I'm at with Box. Like Box don't make me burp a lot. They more or less
Yeah.
just fill me. You know what I mean? So it's also right there on the verge between 4 and 5. So that brings my total to a 33, but it very well could be a 36. It's very close. I just would like to have it on draft and see, or maybe get one that I don't freeze by my own wrongdoing.
Am I missing a category here? I feel like this pleased me a lot more than one, two, three, four. Uh, no, okay, so it comes in where it comes in, but this is phenomenal. So okay, there's like I said, I'm gonna point out the two categories where I think it overperforms even my favorite of box. With that being Shiner, but entry I have at a 4. Aftertaste, I have it a 4. There's a little room to be desired, only because I have had better as far as like the way it tastes coming in, the way it finishes. Now, I know this is going to be taboo, and we can actually go back through. I don't know how many episodes it's been now. Maybe 25 that we've done together. Maybe 30. We're getting close to a good bit. Nay, 60 next week.
Yeah.
But anyway, we, dude, the body on this is the epitome of body. It's the perfect for
That's
me.
good.
It's dialed in 100%. I have it at a 6. Like, there's not a Bock body that's going to be better than this. And then in color, and I know you guys can't see it, but in color, and the solo has nothing to do with it. It is a solid 6 as well. I don't think there's a better color. I know this is going to sound very, very, very gross, but hear me out. In my opinion, when I think of Bock, I think of the first loose leaf tobacco spit. I don't know if you've ever had loose leaf tobacco or if you've ever seen anybody chew loose leaf tobacco, but as soon as you put it in your mouth, that first spit that you spit out, the rich, tarry carameliness, roasted raisins of it, that's what a Bock color should be, and that's what's in this cup.
Yeah.
Okay. Bitterness, I have at a 4. Acidity, I've got at a 3. I think it could have had a little more acidity to it. Bitterness, again, was just slightly short of what I would want. And then fizz, I do have it a 3. Head dissipated pretty quick. I don't burp a lot with Bocks, but it's kind of middle of the road. Like, I think I could have better with many other Bocks. So my total comes in at a 29.
Yeah.
Which, again, seems drastically different, but, like, dude, it blew it out of the park in 2 categories and performed better than mediocre in more. That didn't seem too flattering, but...
And that's after it was frozen in the can.
Yeah. So can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A freshie right out the can or right off the tap. That would hey, there you go. Off the tap. All right. Well, we've gotten to that point in the podcast where I'm going to tell you to go follow us on social media, on Twitter and TikTok at Off the Tap Pod, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Off the Tap Podcast.
So this one's going to be broken down into chunks. You guys are going to see the ebbs and flow of not only my mental state, but how internally the beer started to take its toll in how it was interpreted. Here we go. Vibes of early 90s in-house label maker, 16 ounces of homebrew feeling. Summertime clip art Bock was the memoir of this can. Is there beer inside? Of what strength one could never know. Thankful for the flavor on the inside, the strength of ants within its smell. Bring it home to German heritage, one small taste at a time. Onward and upward with vibes sitting in a boy that's tall. Bock, Bock, without being scared. Fire Ant Tomball.